Why is it that you're able to show up for absolutely everyone else, but you just can't seem to show up for yourself? You are quite literally wiring your brain to believe those things. It's like trying to put a band-aid on something that needs surgery. Imagine how painful even that is. You literally have this broken limb and you have a band-aid on it. We just get so frustrated because we have created these patterns. Hey, what's up? It's Michelle. Welcome back to Chats with Michelle. Would you be friends with yourself? So what I mean by that is, if the way that you talk to yourself, if someone talked to you that same way, would you want to be friends with you? Why is it that you're able to show up for absolutely everyone else, but you just can't seem to show up for yourself? Like, you're that friend that people know that they can call on and even count on to be there, to help, to support. But for whatever reason, you can't seem to finish what it is that you've started. It's as if you sleep your days away, you get easily distracted, and you might even be calling yourself lazy. And then you find yourself in this cycle, right, of starting, stopping, wanting to create this new life, create this new rhythm for yourself. It's just like this never ending cycle that you've been on for years and years and years, to the point where you become just quite frustrated because it's annoying. You're just like, why can't I seem to do the thing that I feel called to do in life? Or are you the latter? Are you the person who says that, yeah, well, like maybe I'm just not that good enough? Or you have analysis paralysis. Oh my goodness. I used to have this issue. And sometimes I deal with it, but just that analysis paralysis of needing everything to be absolutely perfect, you having to just do all the research, you collect all this information, but you absolutely never get started because you just think that you don't have enough, or you don't have what it takes, or it just needs to be absolutely perfect. And you just like all the stories that you just tell yourself that you're just not ready yet. Like, what is the story that you've been telling yourself? So I've really been into the brain lately, just like, why do we think the way that we do? Why do we act the way that we act, etc. And I've been reading this book, no surprise there, right? It's by a trauma therapist named Kobe Campbell. And I just want to read something because I think that it will click in your mind the way it clicked in my mind and just give you this aha moment, hopefully. And it talks about the neurobiology of patterns. And it says, it's a little long, but just stick with me. I promise it's going to bless you. And there's a reason behind it. The neural pathways created by our behaviors are the roads our brain uses to help our brain cells communicate with one another. These are called neural firing. Every thought, action, and feeling comes to fruition through neural firings. When the brain cells connect over and over again, the process solidifies the existence of the road or pathway, building powerful connections between the brain cells that create specific actions, often referred to as wiring. When we say over and over that something is wrong with us, the repetition of those words strengthens the wiring of those ideas and beliefs in our minds. We can literally create paths in our brain that reflect specific thoughts that we have about ourselves. Those thoughts then influence our behavior. So I'm going to ask you again, what is the story that you're telling yourself? And to realize that it's so scientific. Like, if you keep saying that I can't do it, or I'm not enough, or I don't have what it takes, you are quite literally wiring your brain to believe those things, and then you act on those things. Those become your behaviors. Think about what it is that you're saying to yourself. I remember I shared this before, but I think it was sometime last year when I literally had an epiphany, it felt like anyways, because I was realizing the things that I was rehearsing in my brains and the things that I was saying to myself. And I want to just remind you of the same. Like, what is the story that you're telling yourself? What is the literal neurological patterns that you're creating in your brain? Because the thing is, it's like, once you create them, it's kind of difficult to undo the thing that you've told yourself for who knows how long. It reminds me of a story that I heard, or I don't know if it's like a metaphor, etc., that I heard of, like, there's like this thing called like sheep tying. And basically what it is that people, that's like a kind of sport of some sort, is that they let a sheep run, and then the whole, is it a sheep or a goat? I don't know. It's one of them kind of animals, child, on a farm. But basically what it is they let the animal run in the middle of the field, and the whole objective of this sport is for the person to go run after it and tie its legs. But they say in some sheep or some goat, if you do that with them so often, so many times, like what will happen is that spot where like you continually drop them, especially like when you're practicing, they will see like that kind of that spot in the grass, and they'll just go lay down. They'll just lay down and take it, because it's like there's literally no hope, because it's become repetition. It's like, why would I then like run if this is the pattern that you've created for me? If this is what you've been showing me over and over and over again, this is what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to just lay down. I'm supposed to just let you tie me up. They stop fighting. There's a lack of hope there, because it's the pattern that was created. And I would implore you, I think that's the right word, to think about what it is that you're thinking about. Think about the patterns that you may have been creating in your own mind. I talk a lot here about keeping your promises to yourself, right? And that's pretty much just showing up, right? If you say you want to do something, show up for yourself. Don't just say it, but actually be about it. But in this instance, I thought to myself, what if keeping your promise to yourself is you getting to the root cause of the issue? How did you get here? We all got here in some kind of way. And I think what happens is like life happens and we think, well, this is just the way that I am. But like, it very well could be something that happened in like, I don't know, the third grade even. And that might sound so silly, so childish, but like, no, who told you, like, who scarred you? Who told you that you can't do a thing, or where or what happened where you became embarrassed and you told yourself a story that, oh, I don't do this, or I can't do this, or I'll never do this, right? We create these stories and we create these rules for ourselves, and all of a sudden we find ourselves in a place, in a space, and then we just get so frustrated because we have created these patterns. But the issue is, and literally Kobe, she said this in the book, and I loved it so much. She's like, it's like trying to put a Band-Aid on something that needs surgery. So like, imagine this, like, just for like visual purposes. Imagine like you broke your, I don't know, you broke your arm. Let's just say you broke your arm. And like you broke it really bad. Like, I don't know, you fell and you really injured your arm really badly. And instead of getting surgery, you put a Band-Aid on it. Imagine how silly that sounds, and even so much so, how painful even that is. That you literally have this broken limb and you have a Band-Aid on it. And then you're getting frustrated with yourself because you can't use the arm the way that you want to. And it's because it's like, no, you need to get to the root. The bone is broken. So you need to go in there and you need to do some surgery to correct the issue. And it's not to say that things are going to be perfect, because it's like, you know, once you break something, does it ever really go back to the same? Not necessarily really, but it's going to be a whole lot better. It'll work better for you, you know? And so instead of just being so frustrated with yourself because, you know, you're like, oh, I just can't understand, why can't I do this thing? And I'm so frustrated in the patterns that I'm creating, and like, well, maybe you didn't even realize it was a pattern, but it's like a cycle of you starting and you stopping, you starting and you stopping, you starting and you stopping, and then you just sleep the day away, and then you're just like, you know, like the things that you tell yourself subconsciously that you don't even realize that you're telling yourself. It's like, maybe it's time for you to keep your promise to yourself in the way of analyzing, like having a moment and saying, wait, like, how did I get here? Like, how did I actually get here? Who hurt me? I heard that somewhere. I don't know who said that, but like, that's a real thing. Like, who hurt you? In getting to the root of that, because nothing can get better if you keep on ignoring the issue. You can get upset with God all you want, but it's like, until you're ready to like talk about it and face it and talk to the Lord about it, because child, he already know. So until you are ready to actually have that conversation, nothing is going to change. You're just going to find yourself in this cycle. You know, this reminds me of this study that my brother shared with me, and it's just so great. It's a little long, but just stay with me because I think it would just give you so much hope, pun intended. You know, I'm foreshadowing here. I want to read it and then we'll go ahead and wrap. But it says, there was a science experiment conducted on rats a long time ago. The scientists placed them in a pool of water and tried to see how long the rats could tread the water before they drowned. In the first trial, the rats tread the water for 30 minutes. In the second trial, the rats lasted nearly 60 hours. What did they do different? Well, in the second trial, at the 20-minute mark, they took the rats out of the water and dried them off, let them rest a bit, and then put them back in the pool. What happened was the rats now had hope. They had a reason to keep swimming, knowing that there is a chance they would make it out. In the first trial, they didn't have any hope. That few minutes of recharge was all they needed to tread the water 100 times more than their first trial counterparts. And what I just loved about it, like literally, it's so funny. Like if you see our text message thread, I was like, oh my gosh, this is so good. This is so good. Thank you for sharing this. But what is so beautiful about that is I shared this in the last few weeks is one of the things that the Lord has been sharing with me personally. And I want to, if it's for you, take it, right? Is cultivating quietness, but not only that, finding the pace of grace. I think a lot of times what could happen, especially in society, there's so many ways that we can compare ourselves and we see everything and we just see what everyone's doing and everyone's doing all these great things. And that's amazing. At the same time, too, what happens is just a lot of like comparison and jealousy or, resentment, frustration. And then you're trying to do the things and it's everything and it's just so much. But maybe there's a moment of pause that needs to happen, right? I talked about this before. It's like maybe you need to pause to get to the root of things. Like why? And are your goals even your goals, or do you want things because you see that other people want it? And then if it is your heart's desire, if you do feel like the Lord put it in your heart, okay, like when's the last time have you checked back in with the Lord to make sure that you're on the right path to do those things? Do you need to have some surgery? In the sense of like in your heart, are there some things that you need to work through? Is there some resentment in your heart, right? Or are you just putting a Band-Aid on things and just wanting to move forward? Are you just like, okay, like I want to be over this and I'm going to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning now. Because that's what they say successful people do. What if the Lord would allow you to wake up at 7 and still get all the things done, but like with a sense of like peace in your heart, and it's not to say nothing wrong with waking up at 5. Listen. Do you, boo, if that's what you do. But I'm just saying, like, is there hope that's needed, right? Like, do you have a lack of hope? And literally, I was sharing in the book, what's the other book that I read? I think it was Dr. Anita's book or whatever. And it says, like, when there's a lack of hope, then that's where frustration builds. And speaking of hope, it reminded me of Hebrews 11, verse 1, where it says, now, faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. And it's like just like trusting Lord in this season, like you don't see what he's doing, but like you can have that refound hope if you really just like seek him and you're like, Lord, okay, let me just take a chill pill for a moment and not worried about like what people are going to think, because like you're not running this race, and you can then keep your promises to yourself, because not only are you showing up for others, which is nothing, there's nothing wrong with that, but you're not showing up for others with an empty cup. And also too, it's like, but you can then like pour into yourself as well and do the things that the Lord has you to do. And you can actually complete the things that he's had and asked for you to do, because like you've gotten to the root cause of these things, right? And you're digging some of that stuff out that don't need to be there, or you're like watering what needs to be watered. Like maybe your soul Your spirit, your soul needs to be watered. You know what I mean? And you're just in a drought. You're dry. So I hope this blessed you. I hope it made sense. Yeah, I've just been on this like journey of like just learning about the mind and the brain. And like, I'm so not a science girl, but I've been so intrigued as of recent. And yeah, so I just hope that this resonated with you. And if this is something that you needed to hear, that you would do it, right? And you would be obedient and listen to that voice that you hear in your spirit, And with that being said, thanks so much for tuning in today. Listen, if you found this valuable, please consider sharing it with someone who may also find this valuable. And I want to remind you that Chats with Michelle is on podcast platforms. You can go ahead and click the link below. I am on both Spotify and Apple. And while you're down there, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe because listen, we've got so much to chat about. Bye.